Hello, potato. The week is long and I am growing weary. I need a caffeine boost. So today we're going to take ourselves a little coffee break. And the void space smells especially nice today because I'm not doing a tinned coffee or an instant coffee. Today we're going to brew some real, actual, proper coffee from beans and hot water and everything. So if you watched the most recent Sunday video, you will know that I went to Denio's, my local swap meet and farmer's market and swap meet's what they call themselves. I call it a flea market. But they were celebrating 75 years of existence, giving away these keychains, and I wanted to test out these little camera glasses I got for Christmas, which, pluses and minuses there. Watch that video if you're interested. But one of the things that happened after I'd finished capturing footage for the video is on the way out, we discovered a booth that we had managed to miss while walking around initially, and that was a van with a coffee roasting machine in the back of it, selling freshly roasted coffee. So I picked up a bag of Denio's blend from Real Coffee Roasting. They're a local company, apparently, from Sacramento, realcoffeeroasting.com. This, of course, is not a sponsored video because I don't do sponsored videos because it's not that I won't sell out, it's just no one's offered. So yeah, we are going to make ourselves some real coffee roasting coffee today. I don't really know too much about this. There's no details on the bag. I mean, the labels are handwritten. He had a few other blends as well, but I figured we're at Denio's. We're celebrating Denio's anniversary. Might as well try Denio's blend. As you can see in here, as hopefully you can see on the camera, these beans are still pretty fresh. They've been sitting on for about a week, but they're still pretty fresh. There's plenty of oil still on them, and they smell quite nice. Maybe not as dark as what I normally would go for, but still, they smell quite nice. So we are going to brew ourselves some. For that, of course, we need coffee. And we have here is about 48 grams of freshly ground Denio's blend. It was 50 when I started, but as you can see, the cup is pretty full, and a couple grams got lost in the grinding and transferring process. We have ourselves a scale, because we're going to do this up proper. We are going to do ourselves some pour over today. So, our scale going, and we're going to put this on it so it does not slide around too much. It's just a pot holder or something special there. We're set to grams. And we're going to make ourselves some coffee in our good old Bodum pour over rig. Of course, pour over is nice because you can do pour over as complex or as simple as you want. And today we're going to go a little more complex than I normally would. I don't normally weigh stuff out like I am doing today. Normally it's just kind of I put it in the coffee maker and let it run. But I thought we would treat our Denio's blend here with just a little extra care, at least for this one batch. And of course we have our hot water in our much used, much loved gooseneck kettle. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to, that way, I know that's ugly, but that's where the spout is. I'm going to put a little hot water through the filter, and I am using a reusable metal filter. I know there are people who would have issues with that, but the nice thing about pour over is because it is that versatility. You can make a single cup, you can make a whole pot. There's all sorts of different brewing rigs you can set up or buy, and it's a nice, I think it connects you to the coffee in a way that other methods don't. So that's enough of me being fiddly about it. So I'm going to just run some hot water through here. This water was heated to 205 degrees to start with. It's probably cooled a little bit in the couple minutes I've been trying to get this going. I just want to swirl some hot water around in here to take the chill off of the glass so I'm not shocking it by pouring in the coffee. I want to give my coffee the best chance it has of coming out well. And then we're just going to pour that off into this. Pouring out of this rig is not difficult, more different. It's different than what I'm used to. I'm used to using, I said, my normal coffee pot. So, with it warmed up, I am going to pour in my coffee in a way that hopefully doesn't get grounds all over the table. Nope, I feel that went pretty well. Okay. I'm just going to smooth it out a bit. I mean, there are people who have different opinions on what to do once you have the coffee in here. Do you smooth it out? Do you leave it in a mound? Do you stir it when you pour it in the water? There's lots of different agreements. One thing I will say, if you want to up your coffee game, the very first thing you should do is invest in a grinder. It doesn't need to be a nice burr grinder. We use a burr grinder. But I mean, even one of those like cheap $20 spice grinder style, and by spice grinder, I mean an actual spice grinder, not the ones like Amazon sells as herb grinders. The spice grinders, I mean, it's grinding your beans right before you make your coffee will improve the flavor of even like beans you've had sitting around for a little while. Beans that you freshly ground are going to taste better than ground beans that have been sitting around for the same period of time. I mean, you still ideally want to use your coffee when it's fresh, but that's my suggestion. The first thing you should do if you want to up your coffee game is grind your own beans at the time you make it. I shudder whenever I see like at Costco or Sam's Club someone using the big coffee grinder there. It's like you're pre-grinding 5 pounds of beans. I mean, it's hard to get through 5 pounds of beans before they dry out anyways, but pre-ground, oh. Well, anyways, that's enough of me ranting. Let's put some water. I probably should have done this part first, because then I would have could have let it bloom while I was talking. So I'm going to tear out the weight, and I am going to add about 30 grams, I think, of water, and let it sit for about 30 or 40 seconds just to let it soak into the coffee a bit, let it bloom. And I have added, instead, 80 grams of water, so we'll do that. And we'll let it sit for like about 30 seconds, let it bloom out a bit. All right, that's been about 45 seconds. Hopefully it is bloomed out. So I'm going to add about, my target goal here is 800 grams. That's what I want to see on the screen here that you can't see because it's a little low on the camera. Can we fix that? Can I slide it back a little bit so you can see that? There we go. Now you should be able to see that. Okay, that's I should have done that to begin with, shouldn't I have? So yeah, I'm going to add, oh, well, that's interesting. I think I bunched up the tablecloth under it. There we go. Because it went from like 80 grams to 70 grams. I should really have done that before I started. Oh well. That's fairly close to where it was. So I'm going to, oh, it's evening out. That's fine. So I'm going to add I'm going to try to add about 30 grams of water each go until we hit that 800 gram mark. Just let it take its time brewing. So this will probably be a lot of fast forward. Would you look at that? Exactly 800 grams. So yeah, that is all the water poured now. Hopefully it is still nice and hot. Feels nice and hot. So I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes to let the rest of that water drain through, and then we will try our coffee. So let's do a little more fast forward, and we'll get to try some coffee. I think that is good. It doesn't look like it's dripping through much anymore. Now, of course, there are many different ways of doing pour over, and if you have a particular preferred way that's different than what I'm doing, by all means, put it in the comments below. But this is about a 12-minute process to brew a cup of coffee, or a pot of coffee. It's not just a single cup. And For most people, I think that's a little much, which is why I normally use a coffee maker. I haven't done pour over in actually quite some time. But again, I wanted to give this the best possible chance. But I was saying, there are different ways of doing this, and like some people would say at this point, I should swirl through here with my little whisk. And I'm not going to do that. Normally, if I was going to do that, I would do that back towards the beginning. But I think we've got everything we can get out of this. And certainly, of course, just like tea, don't squish it. Because anything that's not come out naturally, you probably don't want anyways. But there is our cake of coffee. Pretty good and flat, which is what you're supposed to have at the end of a pour over. We'll just stick that in there and put that out of the way. Put our little stopper in the top of our dispenser to at least stop some of that heat from coming out. That's lined up about right. And then here are our final results. It's a nice dark brew. I think that looks good. Certainly smells good. Smells wonderful in here. Look at that. Can't see through that. Like no light's coming through at all. Even if I put it in front of the light, no light. That's what I want to see in a cup of coffee. I'm expecting this should be pretty strong, but let's pour a cup. Now, of course, normally, I said before, I don't normally drink black coffee by choice. But again, I'm trying this for the first time, and I want to get opinion of the coffee, not of the sweetener and the lightener. So let's decant ourselves a cup of Denio's blend. Is quite hot. Now, normally also, when I use this, we have like an old teapot cozy that I'll put around the bottom just to keep it from cooling off too fast. But so we got the heat going through the cup, so we can see it change from the truth is out there to trust no one, which lets us know it's good to drink. All right, let me give it a sniff. I mean, I can smell it, but let's give it a sniff anyways. Yep, that smells of coffee. Again, maybe not as dark as what I normally go for. Like especially if I get like Starbucks, and I always get the dark roast if it's available. My normal brew, if I'm just making a pot like in the coffee maker, is actually Pete's Major Dickinson's blend, which may actually be a little lighter than this actually. So maybe it is darker than what I normally go for. But yeah, Pete's Major Dickinson's, because they sell it in whole bean at Costco and Sam's Club, which is nice. Plus also, I mean, that's generally my go-to if I go to Pete's anyways, which isn't that often because there aren't that many of them. Let's give it a sip. That is very strong. Maybe a little bitter, but not bad. I mean, I think some of the bitterness comes from just how strong I brewed it. It's quite good. I wonder what the caffeine boost out of it's going to be. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk about what undercurrents of oat and cherry and chocolate it has. It tastes of coffee to me. I mean, I can tell the difference between coffees, but I don't really. It's like wine. I don't get all these undernotes of wood and fruit. I mean, some will taste a little chocolatey though. This one doesn't taste particularly chocolatey to me. But it's quite good, and I do think if we go back to Denio's, and he's there, I may try some of his other blends. We may see some more real coffee roasting in the future here in other coffee breaks. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with this. It's very strong. I'm definitely going to go add some sweetener and lightener to it, because that is stronger than I would normally drink. But I do feel there is value in trying it the way it comes out to begin with, before you start adding other stuff to it when it's your first time trying a coffee. Yeah, that is a little bit longer than I would be able to take in the morning making a pot. I mean, that did take about 12 to 13 minutes to do the coffee that way, and me having to come back every 30 seconds or so to add a little bit more water. So, I mean, if you have time to do it, I think brewing coffee this way can be a very almost meditative process, grinding the beans, and you can make it as fiddly or as quick as you want, really, to a certain degree anyways. I mean, I don't have to use a gooseneck kettle. I can use my normal tea kettle for that. It's just the gooseneck does regulate your pour nicer to make sure you're not just gushing too much water in there at once. I could just do a single cup instead of doing an entire pot worth. I could pre-grind the beans beforehand. There are lots of variations that you can put into making your coffee as a pour over. So It can be it can't be as fast as doing it in a drip brewer, because that's just, set it and walk away. But if you have the time, it can be very like meditative and relaxing, and just kind of start your day with like almost a ritual of brewing your coffee. Anyways, that I think should wrap it up for this video. I hope you found this at all interesting or entertaining. If you did, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and like I said, if there are some differences to the way you do pour over brews, let me know in the comments below. I'm not going to get into an argument with you about right or wrong, because ultimately, if you walk away with coffee at the end of it, it can't be all that wrong. But I'm always interested to hear other people's techniques. But I do thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.